Andy, do you find some common cause in that? Because it's kind of funny. We're friends outside of this show, and you've been on my show a million times, and I've read your books and all of that stuff. I actually don't know all of your political beliefs, but I know every time they write about you, the mainstream media, they either call you a right-wing conservative or alt-right or, one of these crazy things, which the way I know you as a human has very little to do with what I can sense your political beliefs are.
Thank you, Dave, for providing a little bit of that personal insight into your interactions with me. I'm based in the UK now, but I'm from Portland, Oregon. That's where I did most of my reporting. That's how most people have heard of me. And now that I've spent some time away from America and can look into US political culture while not physically being there, I think a lot of the ridiculousness and contradictions are made much more apparent. And in one particular area is how radicalized the left, the liberal mainstream left is in the U.S. It's actually quite different in Europe. Yes, in UK and Europe, they have the woke and the far left here as well. But they really do they exist on the fringes and are often mocked by the center left and center right. I think in the U.S., perhaps Americans don't realize, because we've become really so used to it, is how radical the mainstream left is. If you look at, for example, I'm just reading some older writings from Ibram X. Kendi, when he was known under a different name. And some of his older writings were just these racist screeds against white people, referencing their DNA and their genetics. And this person is one, unfortunately, many upheld by the mainstream liberal elite left as a figure we should take inspiration from and look up to and view as a moral guidance and also as an intellectual. So, when we have these discussions about how politics have shifted so radically, let's say in the last just decade in the U.S., I look at it with actually a lot of despair.
I actually think because she was a black woman, she would have got away with it. It was only because of 50 plus counts of plagiarism that finally they were like, all right, this is a bit much. But Andy, you are well versed in the radical left and some of their tactics. Do you think in a weird way they view her resigning, and by the way, she's keeping her $900,000 salary and will be part of the political science department at Harvard, so it's not like she's getting smacked down too hard. Do you think in a weird way they wanted this outcome because in some ways it proves their theory that that the black woman in power will always be taken out, so it just adds more fuel to that?
No, I don't think they actually wanted this outcome. I think up until now, the elite woke who have control over institutions have had just win after win. And, the takedown of Claudine Gay is symbolic in the sense that she's just one among many, many powerful figures who are part of this apparatus of DEI, CRT, and woke ideology. However, I do think her resignation and disgrace is, though the outcome is a mixed bag in that it's not, she retains a tenured position at Harvard and will continue to have influence over her colleagues and students, despite committing the worst sin in academia, which is plagiarism. But I think those who have dedicated advocacy against DEI should really see the significance of this as overall a huge victory because of the fact that there was some buy-in from the mainstream liberal left. Not entirely, but enough. Enough that we see it and we hear it, and that's actually really significant. I think the power of the woke left, or whatever you want to call it, the far left, is in the fact that they have been able to have such a stranglehold and control over mainstream liberal elite institutions and cultures. And for there now to be very small cracks to be showing, you can see how those who are sort of have benefited from this have been reacting. They're reacting. They're really freaking out, which is why they are treating this her resignation as such a horrific thing to have happened, because they're scared. And those who want to see this entire system topple really have to keep up the pressure. The work that Rufo and others like him have done on Claudine Gay and others has been so important, and we really have to support their journalism and their activism.
Andy, do you think this is going to light a fire through the other academic institutions, not just the Ivy League, but where we're going to find out that a whole bunch of professors, of presidents, of faculty members, all sorts of people have been lifting things, stealing, not having the proper qualifications, et cetera?
Well, I don't think the institutions themselves will have a fire under them to do reviews of their faculty. However,
I suppose a Rufo fire, let's say.
Yes. Well, what I do have hope in is that more, with the investigations into Claudine Gay that were done by grassroots activists, that is the altogether thousands of hours split among essentially crowdsourced through the public, not entirely the public, but a number of people working paragraph by paragraph through her work. Now, for that level analysis to be applied to other academics and to other so-called leaders, it's going to take a lot of work. And I hope now that this can continue, because I think the outrageous reactions we've seen from some of the DEI ideologues may be because some of them have in their own background, in their own work, things that they would not want people to scrutinize. We're having a little taste of that with Ibram X. Kendi's research. I mean, there are former colleagues of his at his so-called anti-racism research center who have now accused him of really serious misconduct. That center has had millions and millions of money poured into research that they haven't produced really anything. And so this type of scrutiny really has to be applied to not just individuals, but also institutions. I think the SPLC needs to be scrutinized in that way, as well as other so-called hate watch organizations that purport to protect civil rights.
Check out what this migrant caravan, this is the largest migrant caravan heading to the U.S. right now. It's known as the Poverty Exodus, about 15,000 people. Take a look. Andy, they're not criminals, they're international workers. That might be true. I suspect that's not the case for everybody, but isn't it a moot point? We have a border and you can't just rampage through our border, or I guess you can.
What surprises me is that people are shocked and surprised when they see these videos, because this has been going on at a similar scale now at the U.S. southern border for years. I mean, going back many, many months, there has been an average of, at some peaks, around 200,000 illegal border crossings to the southern border happening per month. In December, it was particularly noteworthy because it was the highest record, I think, at 225,000 documented illegal crossings. I think because America is such a huge country, it's easy for media and for people, the citizens, to also to turn a blind eye to the impact of illegal migration. If you're in a community in one of the northern states, you're not going to be impacted in the same way. Whereas with migrant crises that happen, let's say in Europe, when a whole country is the size of one state, and you have hundreds of thousands of people coming in, people do see it and they react, and politics shift very rapidly because of that. In the U.S., things move a bit more slowly. I think it's actually been really important in terms of raising awareness that we've had governors now allowing these asylum seekers to then go to a city destination of choice, such as Chicago or New York. And now the impact that it's happening in these other places is making it more of a bigger issue for Democrats. That's important. It's unfortunate that they have to feel the impact of mass illegal migration for them to start pushing back. But yeah, if that pressure is not spread evenly, the Democrats will continue to I mean, what they would like is for it to continue to turn a blind eye and to mislead the public about how serious this problem is.